Strangers in the night, exchanging fluids. Hey, everybody. I presume that I'm actually live at the moment. Seems like I am. I don't feel alive at the moment. But hey, everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture, the Sunday live stream. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday. It is hot and it is muggy here in fabulous Las Vegas. I know the FNT crew is finding out that August is not a great time to do meetups in Las Vegas, especially if you're doing part of it outside. I got a skull and crossbones from Lady Wendelin. I hope that doesn't mean something's wrong with the stream. Could be in reference to the shirt that she got me. Could be in reference to the fact that it's hot enough to kill you right now here in Las Vegas. But yeah, so I don't know what we're doing. Like where I'm at in Vegas, we're going to probably get to, Nope really doesn't really answer either what that means. We're going to probably do like 100, I don't know, up to 115 today. Oh, just saying you didn't feel alive. Yeah. I know, I'm tired, man. Dude, I was prepping stuff this morning and I got like so hot that I had to just go sit like in a crossfire of fans because I'm like, I got to go on and do a stream here in a little bit. And I'm like, I'm sweating and I'm still kind of sweating, to be honest with you. But, and then see in my office here, my den, when the door's closed, it doesn't really get that cool, no matter what we do with the air conditioning. So over the course, we're humid today for Vegas. We're humid. It's hot. It's humid. By the end of this stream, I might actually have an afro because my hair curls up in the humidity. Yeah, Southeast. Okay, so yeah, okay, I know. Man of War 665 is getting me crap. You want muggy? Come to Southeast Louisiana in August. I know. But bear in mind, like yesterday, what was the humidity yesterday for Vegas was like 30%, which is, keep in mind, before people moved into the valley and brought in pools and all this other stuff, the normal humidity in this valley would have been, I think, 1% to 2%. And I think with all the people, we brought it up to 5%. So we're not a humid place in general. When we get to summertime, though, we're getting to 110 to 115, sometimes up to 120 degrees. You add the humidity then, and it's like, oh, God. I know 30% is not that high, but it's high for a desert. And again, we're going to be probably in the 115 degree range today on the east side of town. West side is higher elevation, so it'll be more like 111. It's going to... It just sucks. I got out yesterday early and I got some yard work done and again, showered off. And then I'm getting that other fan I have in the garage, cleaning it up. I'm putting it in the living room. So I now have two fans just nailing me here with high wind, and it's pretty comfortable. But then the dog would step in front of one of them and it just felt miserable again. Like I need airflow. I run hot. I should not live in a desert. I run hot. I shouldn't live here. But here I am. So, what's up, everybody? Hey, did you know the burritos now cost $20 a pop? So I'm watching this stuff online. And I actually see somebody, because a lot of people who are older are going like, okay, number one, where the hell are you buying burritos? You know, there are cheaper burritos to be had out there than $20 a pop. There just are. It's kind of silly to it'd be like me saying, scotch costs $1,000 a bottle. Well, there are bottles of scotch that probably cost you $1,000, but you can also buy some for 20. So, not really. Anyway, so we're kind of going, what are you doing? And then we're saying, well, look, I mean, we had it rough too when we were younger. You had to budget. You had to eat stuff that was cheaper, We ate a lot of rice, beans, ramen, etc. Just, you didn't buy the upscale stuff. Now you get older and you get maybe more money, and then you can, buy better stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's normal. It's not like unique. And then we say, look, here's some ideas for how you could eat more cheaply. And apparently all of this equates to the fact that you should hate us. You don't hate us enough, because we're not all going, $20, you poor little thing. It's such an emotional argument. It's like, dude, you just want to hear yourselves complain? You don't want any tips for how you can make it better? They sure as hell don't want to hear about why everything's so damn expensive, because the people they've tended to vote for the last 20 years. Yeah, it's such a weird friggin' argument. And it occurs to me, a lot of people really don't understand what inflation is or how it works. I work with people in business who do not understand what inflation is or how it works. When inflation had gotten to like 7%, maybe higher at one point, it started going down. This person, the one person I was talking to in business, was like, well, good, prices will start going down. I said, no, that's not what inflation is. It's the rate of increase year over year in this set of prices that the government has decided is what they're going to measure inflation by. There's different sets, actually. There's different versions of inflation. But I go, no, it just means the rate of increase has gotten smaller, but the prices are still going up. Well, no, that's not. Yes, that's how it works. And this is a person who fancies themselves, wise enough to make political pronouncements in the world. It's like, that's not what inflation is. Deflation is where you get prices going down, which sounds awesome, but deflation often leads to economic crisis in a big way. So it's not really as fun as it sounds. Typically what happens is wages and things like that catch up to. So when we went through all the inflation of the 70s, prices didn't start going down at a certain point, but people caught up to them and got ahead of them in like the 80s and through the 90s. And that's why those were pretty fun times to live. But now things are so manipulated and there's so much money printing. I don't think people are going to catch up unless there's a real hard stop put to government spending and money printing. And I don't see that happening with the people, any of the people in charge from either party. None of them are interested in that in the least. So stuff, man. Vienna sausage and generic store brand saltines that I swear someone had licked all the salt before I got them. Yeah, dude, we ate cheap. I mean, that's just how you did stuff, especially, when you're in college and stuff like that. You found a way to survive. My dad did the same thing back in the 60s, when he was in college. They ate cheap as heck. They made ketchup soup. It just puts something in your belly, and then you get to the people in the Depression, and what a lot of them were going through. It's not new for when you're younger. We just didn't go to upscale places, I mean, if somebody invited you, hell yeah. And you ate like a king, and enjoyed it. But like lettuce sandwiches, hamburger. Yeah. Dude, that's life. But you don't hate us enough because we're not crying about your $20 freaking Chipotle whatever burrito. Dude, first of all, don't go to Chipotle, for God's sakes. If you live anywhere in the southwestern United States, hell, probably, to be honest with you, anywhere from on the west side of the Rockies, Texas, etc., you have legit Mexican restaurants you could go to. You even have legit Mexican chains you can go to and get good food, and usually cheap food, relatively cheap food. You should not be going to a freaking Chipotle. Dude, Chipotle makes Taco Bell seem authentic. Are you kidding me? What is this thing? I've eaten at Chipotle. It is flavorless. It's just like Panera bread. The most flavorless food I've ever eaten in my life. I don't get what people go there for. It's the same thing with, time to rant, it's the same thing with McRibs. Dude, there are so many legit barbecue places almost anywhere in the United States. And I know Lady Wendolyn will come in here because she'll yell at me in a moment, but I don't care. Why are you so excited about McRibs? It is pressed weird pork. They press pork into the shape of spare ribs. with this, like, dude, there are barbecue places all over the place. Even barbecue chains that do better barbecue than this, and people get excited. I don't understand it. It's so weird to me. Go eat real food, for God's sakes. Especially when the real food is cheaper than the bad fake food. Manowar says, how do you expect someone to skip the minimum daily necessities like a DoorDash? Oh, yeah, exactly. Like, dude, we do food delivery here. We do. And it's about 30% of the time, it's a freaking disaster. And I have to sit here and listen to Lady Wendolyn complain about it. And I'm like, I'll go pick up the food. I don't care. I'll do it. I don't want to hear this. Nope, doesn't happen. So, and I'm not saying I can't wait to go pick up food, but I mean, I'll go do it. I don't want to hear about some dude who's not showing up, or he's taking the wrong route, or it's going to take too long. The food's going to be cold. The food's wrong when it gets here. You know, I can give you all of that for free. I can take the wrong route and show up with stuff missing from the order, and I won't charge you a dime. I promise. But we do it, and it is a premium. But again, we're at a point now in life where we can afford it, and we're a family that, like, we don't do much in the way of vacations. Like, we're not flying anywhere. We're not doing any of that stuff. We keep a lot of our spending down, and then we spend in places where we like it. And I know you're looking back here, but keep in mind, a lot of the stuff back here, probably the majority of it, if it wasn't stuff that I had in childhood, it comes from the sales of the role-playing game books that I wrote like a decade ago, which I got to be honest, it's kind of, those things are going down a little bit now finally at this point. But that's mostly what I bought this stuff with, was the money that comes in from that, you know, and then sometimes like gift cards and things like that. So, you know, we're at a stage now, because I mean, I'm in my mid 50s. I've been working at the same basic company for over 30 years. I've been in my job in particular for more than 25 years. And I've had to produce a lot, and I've had to improve my job a lot, and I have. And it's gotten me into a better salary range at this point, but it took a lot of time and a lot of effort to get there. And now I can enjoy a little bit of that stuff. And the fact is that when I retire in probably a decade, we're going to have to cut back on a lot of stuff, because we know the money's not going to be there for things. You know, our main focus now is on getting the house paid off. But, and yeah, we bought the house when it was more affordable to buy housing in Las Vegas. No doubt about it. We got lucky there. But there are certain things politically done that have made the prices a lot higher than they should have to be. And the people complaining the loudest are also the people who tend to vote for those things. So you kind of screwed yourselves. I'm sorry. If you'd listened to me, none of this would have happened. That's why you don't hate me enough. Stop hating me and start listening to me. Stop hating older generations and listen to them. We've done the stupid crap already. We've been there. We've done it. We have a little wisdom as a result of having done stupid things in our lives. So listen to us. Benefit from our stupidity. No. Just hate us instead. That's way better. It's just way better to hate people. Isn't it wonderful? This is the most hateful time I've ever lived through in my life, and I lived through the freaking 1970s. What the hell is going on? All right, ran over. Yeah, Manowar says, that's making concessions where you decide not a delivery system for doing. Yeah, exactly. Well, the delivery stuff doesn't make sense. I've been saying this now for a while, because I do kind of track the economy and things like that. A lot of the e-commerce stuff, it's been made easier to order things, but it's not easier to deliver them. You know, yes, there's improvements in logistics and things of that nature. There are, although you look, and like a lot of places, it's still just people packing stuff in boxes and sending it out. It's not really gone all that high tech, but I'm like, we didn't have everything delivered in like a week back in the days of the Sears or Penny's catalogs. 6 to 8 weeks for delivery, right? We tended just to go pick the things up ourselves. That's actually a really good distribution model. All right. Big trucks and trains and stuff bring stuff to a regional warehouse. Smaller trucks bring it to the local stores, and then people do the last line. We go out and actually drive to the store and buy the thing we want and take it home. It's very dynamic. It works beautifully. You've not really improved on that system. So we're all trying to make a system work that, in my opinion, really can't work. And most of the things they're coming up with, well, have robots do all of it. They're expensive. Robots aren't free. They're not even free labor because you have to maintain them and power them, right? So it's not a system that's really workable, but they are bound and determined to keep trying. Manor says, let's be honest, we didn't think a lot of boom. Yeah, exactly. No, it's exactly every single generation does it. I'm not singling out the younger people for it. I was always somebody who listened more to older people. It's just my nature to do so, but I didn't always listen on stuff, and I got burned here and there. No, it's totally normal for every generation to do that, to ignore the older generation, for the older generation to complain about the younger generation, although I always say they're not exactly wrong about a lot of this stuff. You know? So it's normal stuff. It's normal stuff. But I'm saying, like, dude, there's a lot of folks out there trying to help you with your finances and stuff. Just listen to them, you know? You have to defeat the ego. You have to defeat the ego in life, or your life's going to be terrible. It's as simple as that. And defeating the ego, that's, by the way, partly what, like, St. George versus the Dragon is representative of. It means telling yourself no. You know, and it's something that a lot of us have had to do over the years as we grew up. Is like, I want this, I want this, I want this. I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it. I can't afford it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm at a stage now in life where I can have a little bit more fun with stuff, you know? But again, it took me like 20 plus years to get there. We struggled a lot at times in our lives. We really struggled a lot. And my family, when I was younger, like, I think I've talked about this before, but, you know, my dad got laid off from the plant that he worked at a few times. And man, we had some really lean times. Now they would get whatever it was dealt with. He'd get the job, you know, back, and eventually he moved on to a better place. And now my dad's done very well. But again, he really stuck with things, you know. He didn't jump around from job to job. He stuck with things, got promoted, got into a better position. That's part of succeeding, right? Is not jumping around all over the place just because you get bored with something, and kind of building those roots. But like, we had a whole summer where the picture tube broke, and we could get sound, but we couldn't get pictures. So we couldn't afford to get it fixed. And that was the only TV in the house. So I remember going to summer vacation as a kid. No TV. No TV. We just didn't have it. Couldn't afford it. And I found other things to do, you know. And eventually we were able to get it fixed. And, you know, the old Curtis Mathis was back in operation. But it took a little while to get there, and it kind of sucked. But it wasn't the end of the world. And that's the main thing you'll find out. When you start giving things up, it feels like, oh my God, how can I possibly do this? And then you discover it, you get over it at a certain point, and you're like, it's not that bad. Because of my gout, I've had to give up beer. I cannot drink beer. It will set my gout off almost immediately. And gout is extremely painful. If you don't understand it, it's a relatively easy choice to make. But I've also had to give up chicken, which seems like it does it. Now, That means no fried chicken. It means no chicken wings, and that's tough. It's tough. But, well, the other option is to have the most intense pain you can even imagine in your foot for upwards of a month or two. And so it's not that hard a choice to make. But once you get to a certain place, it's like, yeah, I kind of miss beer. Cold beer on a warm day would be nice. But it's like, it's fine. It's not that big a deal. So, maybe there's a particular expensive burrito that you like and you don't really want to give it up. I get it. But once you make some adjustments, you'll find out it's not really that hard. And you could just live more affordably for a while, save up your money, get a house, whatever you want to do, keep working at your job, perform well. Don't be resentful about it, even when they piss you off. And you gradually kind of build yourself up. And look, if you want to instead be resentful and everything else, you could do that too. It's your life. Pursue your happiness. If it makes you happy, do what you're going to do. But when you go complain about it online, don't be surprised if a lot of people say, well, here, let me help. Here's some advice. Don't get angry at them, And also stop voting for people who print money like it's going out of style. That's where the inflation comes from. Not from corporate greed. And corporations are greedy, but they're not causing the inflation. It's the government that's doing that. Pops was proud of his work and wouldn't have done it differently. Exactly, man. Take pride in your work. It's probably stupid, but it is what you do. And I've had to do a lot of stuff. I've had to step up the game once again. I'm in my 50s, man. I'm tired, dude. I've had to step it up again. And the reason I've had to step it up again, honestly, is because of AI. There's a lot of things AI can do in the business I'm in. And I've had to learn to adapt to it and find ways to use it to make me faster, to make me more efficient, to make it possible for me to get additional research out in my industry. So I have now, in the last few months, produced a report on the economic and cultural ties between Las Vegas and Hawaii, which is kind of a fun one to do, but AI was very helpful in digging up a lot of information and data and finding sources for things. And I've done one on data centers in Las Vegas and where that's going. And again, it was a very helpful tool. My instinct is always like, screw this, it's new, I hate it. But it's like, I don't have that option in the job that I'm in. I gotta produce. I've got to be out there with other people getting things done at a particular level. And so I'm learning things, and I found stuff that it's useful at, and I found stuff that it's terrible at, and I figured out too, a lot of it comes down to the prompting that you do, and how do you craft these things to get what you're looking for. One of the little weird hacks I found is you go round and around and around with one of these things and finally get what you're looking for. It finally figures out what you want and produces it the way you want it. And then what you do is say, write a prompt that duplicates, that gives me this result without me having to, and it will actually tell you how to prompt it to get what you want, which is kind of interesting. But by the way, we are bagging and boarding. Mostly, I'll be honest with you, mostly facsimiles today are the things I had to bag and board. But I finally bought some damn bags and boards. So, it's like you have to keep on stepping up your game. At one point in my career, I produced 3 different quarterly reports. I now produce 7 or 8 on a quarterly basis. I do special reports. I talk to the press a lot. At one point, I would go on camera a lot for things that I don't do as much now, but that for a while, and that really helped me out. But the point is, I wasn't able to just say, well, screw it, man. What I did was good enough. You got to keep on upping your game, and that's how you stay where you're at. And if you don't want to, you don't have to, but you do have to realize, yeah, I know. Well, dude, one thing about AI is when you use it more, you kind of realize Nah, look, the people who are going to use it for evil were going to use something for evil anyways. They were already doing evil, like hacking or whatever and stuff. It's artistic output, so to speak, is not like great. It's fun to play with sometimes. I've had fun with doing that too, but it's not remotely at a place where it could start replacing things. Because I played with it. I've tested it on a lot of stuff. But there are little things you can get out of it, that are useful for doing searches. For example, one of the things I'm going to talk about here in just a minute, I basically used it for a search engine. I said, okay, tell me quickly the box office on Spider-Man. So I just have the numbers, and it ran it down. And then I said, okay, what is the hold? What blah, 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 blah. And it just went and searched the sites for me to do it that way, rather than me going to the different sites and putting it together. So there's things you can get out of it. But no, what we need to worry about is what we're seeing with sort of the quote unquote globalists trying to erode basic rights, they're the ones who are to watch out for. AI is just, in a lot of ways, it's just a toy, frankly. It really is. There's nothing it can do for you that you don't have to edit the hell out of. Again, it can do some quick searching for you. It can do some fun stuff. My wife's used it to take some old family photos and just restore them a little bit. Ones that were kind of color was faded and things like that. It can do stuff like that, Photoshop stuff. Pretty good. You can ask it to draw you something or whatever, but it's going to look like it was done by AI. And you generally can't say, oh, here, I invented this character, draw it up and say, good, now I want to see that same exact character in different poses or doing different things. I'm going to make a comic book out of it. It'll change the costume. It'll get details wrong. It'll change faces. There's a lot of things it just cannot do. And I'll be honest with you, one of the things that's kind of fun to do with these, again, the one I pay for personally is Super Grok. At work, I have a couple others, but you can ask it what it can and can't do. Are you capable of doing this or that? And it'll say, no, not really. I can't do that because I can't access this, or I can't do that, or I don't really have a memory that can do this. I can't blah, blah, blah. It's surprisingly honest about stuff that it cannot do for you. So, but the fact is, in a corporate environment, it's there. And if you're not using it for certain tasks, you're going to fall behind on stuff. You just are. And so all of us are trying to learn. And I'm 50 something years old. I'm 54. I don't want to learn. God, I would love to just cruise until retirement. And I don't have that option. I just don't. Manowar said, made about $450 order directly from E. Gerbert last year for my lights. Oh, and half back last year to rebag remaining collection. Yeah. I usually grab this stuff on Amazon. It works for me. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of the stuff I've been buying lately is already bagged and usually boarded. So I just have a few odds and ends. I haven't done a bag board thing for a while. I'd say bagging, boarding, and chatting, but that's already taken. So can't do that. Hey, everybody, have you heard about Spider-Man? It's making a little bit of money out there right now. Just a tad. Let me bring up my notes real quick. Okay, so as of today, Sunday, August 9th, it is sitting roughly at $655 million domestically and $1.01 billion overseas, for a worldwide total of about $1.67 billion after just 12 days in theaters. So, yeah, it's already made well more than, I think, Superman and Supergirl combined. Opened with a record. We all know about that. And we're not going to even talk about inflation and stuff like that at the moment. Highest grossing film of 2026 already. 12th highest worldwide of all time. And again, that's where inflation comes in. So it's really not, but it would probably be up there, Analysts have it firmly on track for $2 billion worldwide. And I have heard a few people say it could get to, it'll probably get to 900 billion just domestically. It could go into the low billions. So 1 point something billion domestically. It's not entirely impossible if it has a long run with really good legs. It's not impossible to go 3 billion. It probably won't, but it could very well, it will probably go over 2 billion. Honestly, I think I've seen some people say 2.2 to 2.5 billion is a good possibility for this movie, which is interesting because, as we all know, people don't like superheroes anymore. We've seen a couple big successes lately with superhero movies. The Deadpool Wolverine, the Brand New Day, but also the No Way Home did well too. Now, the Deadpool Wolverine, the No Way Home both had a lot of cameos, and cameos people wanted to see. That's an important point because the Doctor Doom thing has a lot of cameos in it that I don't think people give a crap about. Honestly, they're going, check it out. Look at all the people we got. And it's like, some of them people want to see, but then they're also going to see them in a way that they don't want to see them. Right? You're probably not going to see the Iron Man you want, the Captain America that you want, etc. You're going to see a sort of downgraded, bleak version of the characters. So even there, it's like, that might not work out the way that you guys think it will for Doomsday in terms of bringing in a lot of money. But I think we're talking about superhero fatigue. And a lot of people say, no, it's bad movie fatigue. And I think this shows, in some ways, you're right. Obviously, Spider-Man and Batman, they punch at a higher weight than a lot of other superheroes for movies. But they've also had, some failures along the way. They're not perfect in terms of that, right? But the big successes lately have all been outside of Disney. And is Star Wars affected by superhero fatigue? No, they're not superheroes. I mean, there's some relationship there. Action, crazy stuff, special effects. But I think what you have is Disney fatigue, which, by the way, we've seen even in some of their live-action versions of their movies that they've done. The Lilo and Stitch did very, very well. A little surprising to me, I'll be honest. But it did, but most of them haven't. So I think the fatigue we're getting, and if you go, well, what about James Gunn? Yeah, what about James Gunn? Where did James Gunn do his first best stuff? Right? Disney. Well, okay, now I guess he did the Suicide Squad, but the Guardians of the Galaxy was a Disney thing. And it used a sort of humor that I think people are kind of getting a little bit tired of from this stuff. So James Gunn's he's a weird cat, and he's probably not the best guy. Hey, by the way, honey, I just found some of more of your comics. They were in a stack of stuff I had that was sitting on my chair, apparently. So there's a James Gunn issue at DC, no doubt about it. And I think they're probably, Whedonism fatigue is I was fatigued with Whedon after I watched, 6 or 7 episodes of Buffy back in the day. I'm like, kind of tired of this. Yeah. I'm kind of tired of this guy's sense of humor already. It hit me really quick. I was actually kind of surprised that I enjoyed the first Avengers movie because of who was doing it. And I did. I did enjoy that movie. But the enjoyment got less and less as we went. I'm trying to do that so I don't get a lot of flash on it. Actually, I guess what I could do is hold the comic up first, so it's not as much gloss. Anyhow, so I think there is fatigue, but I think it's of a particular style of movie, and it's just also, look, a lot of these movies are just not done very well in terms of writing, in terms of the structure and the narrative, etc. There is a political aspect to that. If you are pushing a politics that most people feel is divorced from reality, at least reality as they know it. They're not going to connect with the film particularly. And that happens all the time. There are, there's weird stuff that used to get made like in the 1960s that didn't connect with a lot of people because it's like, what the hell is this? And did connect with another group of people, but most of these, they become maybe cult hits, but they never became, mainstream. Again, like I keep saying this, like you want to make these kind of movies, make these kind of movies. It's fine, but you can't make them for the amount of money you're spending because they're not mainstream movies. They're not going to pull in the mainstream numbers that you need in order to pay the bills. Because keep in mind, everything that they spend money on, we talk about they spent this much to make the movie and they spent this much for marketing, blah, 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 blah. Well, actually, what they did is they borrowed all of that money because that's how you do it. A Hollywood studio, generally speaking, does not open up its wallet, and pull out the cash to make these films. What they do is they borrow it. They set up financing for these things, which means that technically they don't just need it to make enough money to cover the cost of the production plus the marketing. They need a little extra percentage on top of that because they got to pay the money back at interest to the investors, to the financiers. So a lot of these things we go, oh, probably lost money. It's like, yeah, it definitely lost money if it's even close because there's an interest rate that has to be dealt with, as well. So it can get really pernicious. A lot of facsimiles coming out lately that I have enjoyed. I must say, this was an interesting one, though, because he's almost not the character on the interior that he is on the exterior. And I'm like, that's kind of weird when you're introducing characters and it's like, did they know what they wanted to do? But I don't know, man. It just struck me as odd, that particular issue. So, but Spider-Man, I mean, this is a success. If you wanted to come out and say, well, no, man, it's a success. Watch my last live stream. I kind of talked about the number of tickets sold for the opening weekend. It was like 14 million tickets. It's well above where you would normally be with stuff. So it's a very impressive success. But I think it shows what can happen. And look, it's got some issues with the narrative, and it has issues with some of the characters too. But I think it's hitting enough of an emotional impact that even old timers that I follow, like on Twitter, or comic book pros, who don't care for a lot of the political crap, they're like, this is awesome. This was great. This is fantastic. Good job. It's hitting a lot of different, demographics, this movie. So congratulations to them, man. They really did something well there. I think there was at least some listening to the complaints people have had. And I've heard it described as a very Zoomer movie. I think it probably is in a lot of ways. But that's okay, man. It's like it's hitting that audience and they're connecting with it. And I know they've tried to make changes to other things to connect with that audience, and they clearly didn't do very well with it. But this one's connecting with that audience, but it's not pushing everybody else away. You want a big tent when you do movies like this. So congratulations. They've done really, really well. But here's some bad news. Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly have announced their new Star Trek project will subvert the franchise. Oh, with respect. It's gonna subvert with respect. Okay. So here's the thing. No. You can innovate. You can come up with new ideas that are going to make, it's going to be different, but it's going to have respect for the what's come before. When you use the term subvert, no. And the with respect was tagged on because I think somebody went, oh, we weren't supposed to say that out loud. Subverting is never respectful. Subverting is the opposite of respect. That's what you do to something when you do not respect it. If I took something that was highly woke and I mocked all the wokery with it, I'm subverting it. How do I do that respectfully? You don't. You can even parody things with respect. I think the Brady Bunch movies did that. Subvert is not respectful, ever respectful. Now, are they sorry they used that word and they really didn't mean it? Maybe. It's possible. It's not a good start for what you're doing, because all we've pretty much gotten lately is subversion, 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 subversion. By the way, Commandi is freaking awesome. This should be a cartoon. This should be a cartoon. It almost kind of is with Thundar, but it really should be a cartoon. Man of War says, I know I'm alone on this hill, but I refuse to watch their D&D in name only movie for the same reason. You are not alone, by the way, sir. I didn't go watch that movie. Because if it's anything, it's modern D&D. And like you said, that's D&D in name only. It's not really D&D. It's not. I'm sorry. You change the rules in ways that change fundamentally what the game was. Doesn't mean you can't do that. Doesn't mean you can't create a new game. Doesn't mean it's all fine, but it's not really D&D, A third edition was still close, but some of the rule changes they made, I don't think were intended to subvert it, but they kind of did subvert it, because I don't think the people doing them understood fully how those rules created gameplay. I don't think those folks were as smart as they thought they were when they did it. And that's something I kind of discovered as I played it, and then started delving into older editions of the game and older rule sets of the game. And like, well, how did we originally do this? What was this originally for? And, found that, look, dude, even some stuff like my second edition, AD&D was kind of like, it's not quite right. You maybe changed things a little bit too much at this point, and you're going to get a different experience as a result of it. So, I wasn't really interested in their D&D movie. They've done some other stuff, and some other stuff's been fairly popular. But as soon as the term subvert is used, it's like, well, of course I'm not going to bother with this damn thing. I don't want it to be subverted. You know what would be subversive right now? Not subverting it. That would be pretty damn subversive. Here's a concept. Stay with me on this one. We have a crew of individuals. They're all smart. They're all competent. Personalities, they may clash a little bit here and there, but overall, they're not, at each other's throats. And they're certainly not like, doing mean girl stuff to each other, right? And they are crewed on a starship, one of the best that there is. And it's sent out to the far reaches of what we know. And it interacts with something and has to solve a problem. And it's a tricky problem. And it's a problem without a perfect solution. But the captain comes up with something kind of revolutionary with some help from his crew. And they support him. And then we get a resolution that is meaningful. That might be interesting. That might be an interesting Star Trek episode concept. Huh. I don't think we'll probably get that. And again, they're setting stuff even further in the future and blah, blah, blah. But at some point, getting further into the future, you're kind of going, Star Trek had a pretty good technology for storytelling in the original series. Less so in the Next Generation. Although some of the Next Generation's problems, I think, had more to do with how they structured the episodes with like an A plot, B plot sort of sitcom thing that I don't think was that strong, to be honest with you. Rewatching all of them, I oftentimes was like, either the A or the B plot I didn't care for. So now, like a third of the episode I'm kind of bored with and I don't care. There was too much lecturing from Picard. Ugh. Any rate, but it had other issues, but some of it was technology. And then we're going to bump the technology higher, But then you're also hiring writers who don't spend the time to think about how these technological changes are going to impact the storytelling. Kind of like the way you had people changing rules in D&D without fully understanding how it was going to change the game playing experience, right? You got to think these things through if you're going to do well, and you might still screw up. But like, I'll give you sort of an example for myself. So I've been writing again lately, and I got one story finished and edited. I'm pretty happy with it. And I keep saying I'm going to post it on my old blog. I think I will. I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. Probably like a little chapter at a time. It's about like 16,000 words. So it'd be kind of a long, short story, basically. And so I'm working on a second one right now. And it involves, these are kind of detective type stories. So this one involves a murder that happens at a burlesque house. And one of the burlesque dancers is based, and this is set like in 1957, I think, I've decided. One of the dancers is basically dancing to put herself through college at USC. And her interest is in criminology and stuff like that. This has sort of happened organically with me playing with ideas. Okay, so she kind of steps in and starts trying to figure out what happened, and the police are involved as well. And so I kind of wrote up an outline, produced some chapters quickly, and now I'm going through and doing the editing stuff. And, you know, I get to this first chapter, and I'm like going, I realize I don't know very much. Whoops. Oh, I just hit my microphone. Sorry. I hope that didn't make a horrible noise. I actually don't know a whole lot about burlesque in the 1950s. Well, or any other time period for that matter. Outside of, you know, I've watched Abbott and Costello, who were burlesque comedians, and a couple other burlesque comedians, and that's about it. And I start kind of going through and realizing I need a lot more information here if I'm going to do this properly. And once I start asking questions, I start realizing how much I don't know. And this is something, by the way, that AI was useful for doing searches and things like this. How long is a burlesque show? What are the different parts of a burlesque show? How are they structured? How long would one of the featured dancers go out and strip? How long was that segment on average, right? What times of day were burlesque shows? Did they run matinees? What was the latest show? When would the latest show be at, right? I start putting all these kind of things together because the first chapter involves the actual crime. And is this timed right? How big is the backstage? How far does somebody have to walk to get on stage? What's that going to... So I had to start getting really, really precise with a lot of these things in order to make it work. You know, and maybe shift things a little bit here and there. Like, for example, one thing, I think I had too many characters initially, so I got rid of a couple of them and combined things and stuff like that. So, you know, if you're doing this kind of writing, you have to be willing... Oh, look, I got the tape, and I didn't put the friggin' comic book in the bag yet. You have to be willing to do the research and think things through. And if you're doing sci-fi, you especially, hey, Remy Butler, you especially have to do that in sci-fi because you're dealing with stuff that isn't real and doesn't exist. You have to do that with magic as well. You got to think it through, role-playing games or stories. How is this going to impact everything else? Because you write yourself into corners when you don't. Now, I'm writing with reality, with just a little, you know, it's a little heightened reality, but I'm writing reality. So it's a little easier. You could figure these things out, but you know, you got to be careful when you're going fantasy and all that other stuff. And I think the problem is we have either writers who aren't willing to do it or aren't that interested in it, or they're not being given the amount of time they need to develop these ideas fully, you know. But when you get down to it, and I've said this before about Star Trek, about Star Wars, you know, ultimately these things are not about the technology and the props. That's great. It's background, right? You want lightsabers, you want phasers and transporters. They have to be human stories about people that we can like, that we can care about to some extent. TV episodes, you had to do it relatively quickly too. You know, you care maybe about Kirk and the rest of his crew, but a lot of the important stuff is happening with, you know, with the side characters that have just been introduced for that particular episode. So you gotta make them speak to people a little bit so we care enough to watch the episode or to watch the movie. And a lot of times they're not doing that anymore. And I don't know, again, if it's because they're not given the time. Yeah, I mean, all stories are kind of human interest stories to some degree. You can wow people with cool visuals and stuff like that to a point. You can do that, obviously. But stuff really, unless it's really striking and weird, stuff still needs to hit the human notes to get people to listen and watch and care, and then for it to go on into the future. You know, they did such a friggin' good job ultimately with the original series, and they did a good job with Next Generation and a lot of those too, that the interest in Star Trek is carried far beyond those series, decades beyond those series, right? Because it had that impact on people that was enough, but it's losing it little by little. Little by little. All right, what do we got here from Ramey Butler? Back from church early thanks to, my seafood allergy. Oh, damn. That is not good. That is not good at all. Sorry to hear that, man. Hopefully you'll feel better here pretty soon. Hopefully you have something you can take, like an antihistamine kind of deal that'll help with that. But I know where you're coming from. I don't have a lot of food allergies, but I developed one recently to grapefruit, or grapefruit juice at least. Now I'm kind of worried about eating grapefruit too, and I love grapefruit, but it happened during a live stream too. I'd had a glass of grapefruit juice, and like a small glass. It wasn't like a big heaping thing or anything. A small glass of grapefruit juice before I did my live stream. And I'm doing the live stream, and like, I don't feel well, man. Like, I'm trying to talk through it and stuff. And I think I finally did hit mute for a minute and put something up to get myself off camera. But it was like, it was doing something weird to me. If you take, I see, and I don't take any prescription meds. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Well, at any rate, like the first time around, I didn't know what had done it. So like maybe a week later, I tried it again, not on camera, tried it again, and it hit me the same way. And I was like, oh, okay. And honest to God, like I'd probably before that, I had grapefruit juice and a grapefruit or whatever, maybe just a few months before with no problems whatsoever. So like it came on fast. But yeah, I don't take any prescription medications. So I don't think it would have been anything like that. But maybe that tells me that grapefruit has some voodoo going on that can cause problems. There's that Chaikin Zorro, which I was just at the comic shop yesterday, and issue 2 was sitting there. And I'm going, oh, cool, issue 2. I don't have, wait a minute. Do I have issue 2? I'm not sure if I have issue 2. I'm like, okay, don't buy it. Just wait. You can get it later if you don't. And so sure enough, I was going through all the stuff I needed to bag. I'm like, oh, there's issue 2. Okay, good. Because I was looking through, I'm going, I'm pretty sure I read this. This is all very familiar to me. Anyhow. So there we go with, Louisiana would be tough if you have a seafood allergy. That's for sure. But there's the new Star Trek news. We're going to subvert it. I also would like to throw out to some of these people subverting. You're not smart or talented enough to subvert the works of people who are smart, who have done them. Yeah. In fact, I don't think people who want to subvert things tend to be the smarter people out there working in an industry. Subversion is a low form of art, kind of really more like vandalism, in my opinion. If you really want to subvert things, you're probably not fit to subvert them. Something to think about. Something to think about, fellas, but maybe they just used a stupid term and they're not really going to subvert anything. But let's talk about somebody who is ridiculously talented, who sadly has passed away. Katsushi Murakami was a mechanical designer for such things as Voltron and Machine Robo, i.e. the GoBots, and Super Sentai stuff, and quite a few other things. He's the guy who designed them mechanically, what they were going to look like. And yeah, well, yeah. Why don't you hire the writers from DS9? Yeah, exactly. I liked Andromeda. I have to be honest. I kind of liked Andromeda. I think it kind of petered out a little bit by the end, but I kind of liked it. There's people out there they could hire that would do better jobs. They know that, and they don't want to hire them. They don't care. They think they're doing something important, and they're really not. But yeah, so Murakami, man, what a talented dude. Like, you talk about standing, the test of time. Man, are you kidding me? Voltron, some of these, the GoBot, his design stood the test of time. And I don't think he was subverting anything. Yeah. How many of us too? Dude, just where our childhoods revolved around a lot of this stuff. Man, were we friggin' lucky. So much cool stuff designed back in the day that, people are still nostalgic for to this day. Sometimes almost to a bad extent, but we're like, okay, well, give us the new thing that's just as rad. We're waiting, and it's not there, but really excited as a kid. So God bless him and Godspeed, man. Katsushi Murakami, just an amazing, amazing, amazing guy. Let's talk about some new releases. New campaigns, new pre-orders that are out there. I got a few this time. Starting with Cobra from Space Pirate Cobra. If you have never watched this anime from the 80s, seek it out and watch it. It is freaking rad. It was floating around on YouTube for a while in a pretty good, I think it was even 4K. But dude, it is an amazing anime. Great art, really interesting stuff. Very 80s. Now I believe this is one of the things that got turned into a video game back in those Laserdisc video game days with Castle of Cagliostro and of course what was it, Dragon's Lair. But it's a great anime. So they got this cool figure with Q4 delivery. What they're aiming for. And it's $110. That's where I'm like, oh, I can't do $110 for this, unfortunately. But if you are a real fan of it, maybe it's worth it for you, because I don't know, man. I don't know if this has gotten an action figure of this kind up till now. So it may be one of those kind of grab it while you can grab it, because it might not stick around for you. But it is a friggin' good anime. I want to, just looking at this, I'm like, I want to watch that again. It was really good. Just stunning imagery in this thing. 80s anime, man, it hit a really sweet spot. 80s, probably into the 90s, of having the ability, having the technology, having the skills, but also having just a really interesting artistic take on things. That now I look at some of the stuff nowadays, and it's like they've tried to innovate new ways to do things, and it's kind of doesn't work for me. It's a little choppy. It's a lot of times it's just too damn much stuff happening all at once, but I think they hit a sweet spot. 80s, 90s with anime, and this is some of the best of it too. It's really good. Hand animated also, I think, helps quite a lot. Yeah. So you might want to check that dude out. Another one in it's a little more than I can afford. And I could have shown it last time. I had to show it this time because it's a really nice piece of work. Mezco's 112 Dr. Fate. February 2027 delivery, $112. So just about the same as that other one. But man, go seek this thing out. It is really, really friggin' amazing. Oh, dude, I've been watching Galaxy Express too. That is an amazing friggin' anime. It's weird. It's it goes places that I wouldn't have thought it would. I've really been enjoying it. It's usually Sundays after I do a lot of this stuff and I'm kind of doing downtime. I'll throw it on. Yeah. Galaxy Express is amazing. I have not watched Captain Harlock yet. Super aware of the character and I haven't watched it. And I need to, for sure. But Dr. Fate looks really good, man. It's a little too rich for my blood, but, you know, it's pretty rad looking. McFarlane is still pumping some stuff out, and by God, they're pumping it out at GameStop, which is a weird site. I have issues with it, but I will say this. So this is Harley Quinn, 7-inch figure. It's the Harley Quinn that I actually like, you know, that hadn't been subverted yet. $28, and I did grab this one because I dig the character. So I did grab Harley Quinn. But that one's available right now. I don't know what the delivery is on it. I'm not sure. They also have some additional Batman figures up now, but again, got to go to GameStop for them. It is, they got they had one that's, I think maybe from one of the video games. I don't even know what the hell it is, but they got a Neil Adams and they got a Kelly Jones Batman, which is kind of cool. It was kind of cool, but I'm like going, dude, I don't need to spend the money. I'm not going to do it, but I kind of appreciate the idea of different artists' editions of Batman. I think that's kind of cool. And I don't know, man, if they did like a Dick Spring Batman, that could maybe get me to go for it. I have to be honest. Here's Zorro's Legacy, by the way, Aaron Lopresti art. If you like Lopresti, and he's a really hell of a good artist. I talked about this a couple weeks ago, I think. It's a good book. They did a good job on that one. I'm going to finish the Chaykin Zorro because it's only a 3-issue miniseries. And I've been okay with it. I didn't love it, but it was okay. Kind of interesting. Involves Napoleon and his conquest. But this one, I'm not sure. I don't know what they're doing with this in terms of how many issues. And for right now, I'm going to stick with it. It's pretty good. It's a modern Zorro, and it's got a little feel of like a Batman sort of character. So nice job with it. Manowar says they opened a Spirit Halloween next door to local Barnes & Noble. They have a great life-size. Oh, yeah, I saw that alien on Twitter. They got a motorized sound effects aliens, $450. They had some Jack Skellington. They had a Jack Skellington that, if I was a millionaire, just for my wife's sake, we would probably own that now. And if I was a millionaire, I'd have room for it too, but because it was pretty cool. But yeah, dude, that alien's that's gonna get a lot of people wanting to get that one. I know that for sure. Skellington, they have their fans, but dude, there's some alien freaks out there that are going to want that are going to probably be making some iffy financial decisions. Look, here's the deal. If you're buying $20 burritos, you can't afford $450 xenomorphs. Something's got to give. You're going to have to make some heavy decisions on what you want in your life. You might have to switch to ramen for a while if you're going to buy that xenomorph. So that's Harley Quinn and some Batman stuff. Here's the other Batman. I forgot that I grabbed pictures of those. So there's the Neil Adams Batman, and there is the Kelly Jones Batman with them super long ears. We're going to talk about Kelly Jones in just a minute too. The Atlantean, they have announced issue number 5 in development, and an omnibus from what they've done so far. The Atlantean are King Cole comics, and I've shown them off on this channel. I'm a big fan of them. They feel very much like the old black and white Savage Sword of Conan's. They do a great job with them. I've been very impressed. Because, when people set out to do things like that, there's an element of, well, is this going to be sort of a pastiche of this character? Like, it's not going to have its own creative legs. It's good. They did a really good job with it so far. So I'm totally in. So issue 5 is going to go to Kickstarter pretty soon, but also the omnibus. So if you want to catch up on what they've done so far, you can grab that book. But I highly suggest it. Oh, Raimi has to go. Med's kicking in. Getting sleepy. Dude, yeah, go take care of yourself. Go take a nap, man. Get over that allergy, and no more seafood. I wonder if did they sneak it in on you? But yeah, hope you feel better really, really, really soon. Little JLA versus Avengers. I'm iffy on this JLA Avengers crossover, if I'm honest. I've just read all the Perez Wonder Womans. Well, not all of them, but most of them. And I'm going, I'm not really digging them. I kind of liked them back in the 80s when I got them. Art's great, but story-wise, I'm like, I'm not so sure. And the story-wise, it's okay, but I'm not loving it. Not loving it. Anywho, so that is coming out soon. NECA is still pumping out their Ben Cooper costume kids, which are really fun. It's a fun concept. Again, if I had millions of dollars and almost unlimited space, I'd probably own the majority of these things. Some of the earliest ones they did were like costumes that I had as a kid, and there was definitely that temptation there for those. Dude, these are badass, by the way. Batman in the Shadow. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Anyhow, so this new wave, which by the way, you buy the whole wave for $115. So that's about the price of that Cobra figure. It's about the price of the of that Dr. Fate. It's G.I. Joe and Transformers and Mask. So we're doing like the old toys. So you got Megatron, Optimus Prime. You got the G.I. Joe dude who's kind of grunt, really, when you get down to it. You got Sergeant Friggin' Slaughter with his camo pants there. And you got Mask. All fun stuff. And frankly, all of it being published right now as comic books and still making it into movies. Test of time. I don't think anything that made almost nothing in the last decade will stand the test of time. Not a lot of it will. A few things. It's amazing. Mid-60s and the 80s were just powerhouses of crap that has stood the test of time. It just has stood the test of time. It's amazing, some of the things in relatively short periods of time that just did really well and really stuck with people. Boom. Black Goliath. Heck yeah. There's a character that could have been really cool in the Ant-Man movies. But he wasn't. He was barely there. He was retired. Could have been fun. Didn't get it. It's the story of the DCU. Or the DCU. Or the DCU and the MCU. It's just, they could have done this. That would have been cool. Oh, well. It's over now. I think it is over now, frankly. Manowar says, did they make an omnibus for the Cimmerian, or is it just that box set? I think probably just that box set, yeah. I haven't seen that. I don't know. I don't think they have, though. They might. Look, it's a cheap way to make money, right? Is making various trades and various omnibuses and doing it different ways. Yeah, you'd think they would have done one, but screw the Cimmerian. Go Atlantean, man. Go indie. Full on indie. Get the Atlantean. They're fun books. They really are. I've enjoyed them. I have a good time with them. That looks. No, that's yeah. Some of the covers on these look very similar to one another, and caused me to go, wait, did I have that? I didn't get any duplicates on Thundar for once. I'm bad about duplicates. Hasbro, till all are one. Yeah. So what else do we got? We got Okay, so this is kind of interesting. So I saw on Twitter, pre-orders open August 7th. Okay, of Son of Frankenstein version of the Frankenstein monster. This is NECA. This is a, ultimate version of the figure. And I couldn't find any. I couldn't find it for pre-sale anywhere. But what I did find was the OG Frankenstein Monster Ultimate for pre-order. So I don't know if that was a crossed wires or not, but these ship in November. They're $40, so outside of my price range, honestly. But if you got a hankering, and they do come in color and black and white. But if you got a hankering for the Frankenstein monster, I like to just call him Frankenstein, right? His dad's last name is Frankenstein, so his last name is Frankenstein. It's close enough. But if you want to get one of those, it is available. I think I saw it at Entertainment Earth and on Big Bad Toy Store. This was an odd story, but it's the Demons, so it's worth it. Yeah, so that's out there. Frazetta Girls has the version 2 up for pre-sale now of Dark Wolf and Tigra, but not Bunny. Does anybody remember that? We're Bunny, we're Tigra, and we like... Anyways. So these are 1/12 scale. These are a second version. So with Dark Wolf, you're going to get that separate mask. In other words, if you have the originals, you probably don't need these. But you get the mask, and there he is with the mask off. And that's based on some of the pre-production stuff that Bakshi did. The Bakshi did for those. Frazetta did for Bakshi. And then Tigra, also you get the Panther, which I guess maybe didn't come with the other one. But those are $70 each. So you get some new stuff, But basically, I think if you missed them the first time around, you might want to check those out. If they do a V2 there's a couple characters where I was like, I almost kind of wish I got them now, but there's a wait list. I don't want to pay extra. So there's a couple I might be waiting for. Not those per se, but then again, there's also they got that one John Carter, which I really like. I'm probably not going to get it. Anyways, so Matt Wagner and Kelly Jones. I mentioned Kelly Jones earlier. Dracula Book 3, The Count is ready for shipment, basically. It's going through the fulfillment house. So there's a preview of Dracula Book 4, The Undead. That'll be up for crowdfunding pretty darn soon. I've been enjoying their Dracula series. It's pretty darn awesome. And folks, it just about does it for this one. I was going to show off we'll show off a couple things. I just got some vintage figures that showed up this week. I grabbed a Manny Faces because there's just a few of the Masters of the Universe line that I didn't really grow up with them, but I just think they're funny. I like them. And so I got that. I got the Diamond Select. I've been hunting for this one for a while, and it finally showed up at a really good price. The Diamond Select Andorian, basically Mego, to go with my Star Trek stuff. It's one of the few that I'd wanted. Don't understand why there's no Larn figure. Yeah, they might be working their way towards it. It's possible. It's possible. I mean, obviously, they work off of stuff that Frazetta drew, but yeah, they might get there. They might get there. Now, this one is vintage. It is damaged, but I couldn't resist the price, and I think the damage I can fix. It's already semi-fake fixed, but the head is basically loose because the neck portion's not there. But we're talking about the Mego, Mad Monsters, the Wolfman. I got the Mummy. So this finally came up with a good price, and I said, I'm going for it. Just in time for Halloween. So I just got a few little vintage figures, and in all 3 cases, they're ones that I had a search for on eBay that would just email me every day stuff that comes under that search heading. I'd probably waited about 3 years before they showed up with a really good price and a good shipping price that I liked. I ended up having to pay a little extra shipping on Manny Faces because there was some issue with the post office, but it was still a great price for a vintage figure. And no weapon, but good enough. So I'm telling you, if there's stuff that you want, man, set up those search things in eBay. It will email you every day. Here's the new stuff that came up under that search. You can look through it, the thing hits that really it's the right price, it's what I wanted, it has it, you can take that strike and go for it. So 3 things just happened to pop up over the last month that I managed to snag at a really good price. I also grabbed finally, because I had to make an Amazon order, I finally grabbed this friggin' Phantom. I've never watched it. Looking forward to throwing that in. I might do that today. Not much, though, from the comic book shop. The facsimile for Detective Comics. Introducing this dude called Batman. I'm sure it'll go nowhere. What a weird concept. But I did manage to find a few vintage Micronauts in the dollar bin. Dollar bin Thor annual that I didn't have. Taking on Mephisto, a little Walt Simonson cover action. A couple of the other Thors that I had and I'm now recollecting. Oh, God, get that flash out of there. A few old X Factors. What was there any other? Oh, a couple old Marvel fanfares. Then I did grab one older book. Adventure Comics starring Supergirl. That's one of her mini costumes she had over the years. Basically, throwing shade at this football player. What are cop-outs selling for these days, Johnny? Johnny, you copped out, man. Dude, you copped out, Johnny. Can't be doing that. I love when they tried to get hip at DC Comics. Marvel wasn't really that much better at it if you really get down to it. But DC was terrible. I'd want Gerald and Juliana if they... Oh, yeah. Well, they did... I think they did the Gerald with the... unless I'm thinking of something else with the Throne, Man of War. But because of that Throne, it wasn't cheap. Arrow is doing a 50% off at Barnes & Noble this month. Everybody, Barnes & Noble, 50% off. Arrow video. Man of War got a 4K Soylent Green, an original Salem's Lot box set. That's pretty sweet. You want a spoiler? Soylent Green. No, I won't do it. I'm not going to spoil it for you, dude. I'm sure you've never watched the movie before. I'm not going to spoil it for you. But there's a twist. There's a twist in Soylent Green. It's going to freak you out, dude. It's going to freak you out. Tell me honestly, do we not live in a time period where you go, they would do that now? The Bill Gates Foundation would do that now. You know, back then you looked at it and you go, well, I mean, obviously. We live in a time period where they would absolutely do that. I hate to say it, but we do. There are some godless people floating around right now. Lord deliver us from them. Folks, that's going to do it for Dad's Den today. We've had enough ranting. We've had enough raving. We've looked at some comic books and a few things. I'm going to finish with this little image that I found. It was colorized apparently in 2014 by Avi A. Katz. And if he actually did research on all those magazine covers, I'm impressed. But colorized or black and white, that is an old magazine rack. And ain't it a beautiful thing? All the cool stuff. And you know what? It's and who's to say they haven't, Man of War? Yeah. In fact, they probably have. Somewhere. They probably have somewhere. Oh, Lord help us. That'll do it for Dad's Den today. Oh, Lord Necron with the throne. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I was thinking of the wrong thing. God bless everybody. Thank you for stopping by. Man of War, Raimi, Lady Wendelin in the chat. But thank you anybody who watched. I really do appreciate it. I know we ranted and raved a little bit in this one. You got to do it once in a while. But God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have some fun out there on this hot, muggy Sunday in Las Vegas. And hopefully I will see you again soon in Dad's Den. We're going to have Mighty Thor Monday this week, of course. And then Burke's Law. I'm going to do a Burke's Law review. I got a little bit more prep to do on it, but I'm about there. And that'll do it for this week. So, bye everybody. Have fun. I will see you hopefully again